board meeting. And again, I say, where does the time go? But it's great to see so many of you here tonight. We have some exciting presentations, and it's wonderful to see so many people here in support. So at this time, I would like you to please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Councilwoman Esley. Councilman Marasco. Councilman Perticone.
Here.
Councilwoman Skrobak.
Here.
Supervisor DeRizio.
Here.
And attorney for the town.
Present.
Thank you.
I would like to ask Chief Tantello to come forward. These are one of the most honorable events that we hold at our town board meetings, because it's such an honor and a pleasure when we are able to swear in a new officer. I think it was back in 2012 that we had so many officers that retired. The academy wasn't being held, and fortunately in this past year we have been aggressively able to bring on officers, most of them living in Irondequoit, which I think is important when you are a part of the community. So at this time, I'd like to ask Kylie Nichols to come forward, as well as to bring her mother and sister.
Don't worry about the children. It's so nice to hear their little voices.
This is what life is all about. It's that circle of life. That's the young, the middle, and the older.
Okay.
See, you're on television right now, so wave to the camera. So, Kylie, who would you like to hold the... And if you don't mind coming a little bit closer. And Kylie, come over here.
You're not stuck. I'm holding you. Okay, let's watch it.
He's okay.
And if you would put your right hand and hold your left hand up, please. And repeat after me. I, Kylie Nichols, do solemnly swear
I, Kylie Nichols, do solemnly swear
that I will defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will defend the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of New York.
and of the state of New York.
I will enforce all of the laws
I will enforce all of the laws
of the state of New York
of the state of New York
and the town of Irondequoit.
and the town of Irondequoit.
I will fulfill the duties
I will fulfill the duties
of the rank of police officer
of the rank of police officer
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
I will obey all orders,
I will obey all orders,
rules, and regulations of the Irondequoit Police Department,
rules, and regulations of the Irondequoit Police Department.
so help me God.
So help me God.
I will serve,
I will serve,
protect,
protect,
and guide the citizens
and guide the citizens
of the town of Irondequoit.
of the town of Irondequoit.
Congratulations.
As the supervisor said, Officer Nichols is a town resident. You can see from the representation here from the St. Paul Fire Department that she is a volunteer member with that organization and obviously being supported by her colleagues. She currently is assigned to the 3rd Platoon, having just finished the police academy. She's been involved in a number of community programs and has received a number of awards, including the Youth Foundation Award in 2007, the St. Paul Boulevard Fire Department Explorer of the Year Award in 2007, Presidential Volunteer Award in 2008. So she's an exceptional addition to our organization. You can see by the support with our men and women of the Irondequoit Police Department, we're pleased and happy to be able to share this moment with her. Congratulations, Kylie.
I just wanted to thank the town board, Chief Tantillo, retired Chief Boyan, the Irondequoit Police Department, my family, especially my mom. This was a dream come true, becoming a police officer, especially in the town that I was born and raised, and I do feel honored. Thank you so much.
And don't forget about the part of being the orders.
Gee, looking at that, I sure hope they should.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, great.
Fry more fire.
Before I became supervisor, there were certain events that were going on in the town that I really enjoyed. One was the PIP group, and that was planting Irondequoit Pride, and it was so wonderful to work with individuals who were willing to put in their time in beautification of town, particularly in various garden spots throughout the town. Another one that has been very near and dear to my heart is the farmers market. Of course, I grew up with that. Every Saturday morning in the summer, we would load everything up and we would go to the farmers market in the big parking lot at the Chautauqua Institution. We would talk with other farmers and vendors, and really it was quite a social time. What we have in Irondequoit is probably equally a social time in which friends and neighbors and vendors and residents from all over our town come together on a Thursday night. We usually exceed over 1,000 visitors. So it is definitely one of those beautiful assets that we can share in our town that really give it that hometown feel without feeling like a big city or just in the country. And so tonight, I would really like to acknowledge our volunteers of the farmers market for the 2013 year. And the first, and if you would like to all come up please together, because you are a team, and it's important to always work as a team. And I thought I had these in order, and then the first one that I would like to acknowledge is a woman who gives so many countless hours of volunteerism, working with the vendors, making sure their sites are conducive to their wares and their location. She is there to target any pitfalls that might occur or last-minute changes so that everybody there is happy and having a wonderful experience. So it is a great honor for me to present this certificate of appreciation to Donna Pecora, who has been our farmers market manager. And what I want to stress, you know, we have so many boards in town that are volunteers, and these individuals also are very devoted professional volunteers to the farmers market. So, Donna.
Thank you. Two individuals that I knew through the farmers market and also during the past year offered me much support and masses to me in offering comfort and sisterhood. And I'd like to present these two with my clumsy hands to Cindy Scalia and her mom, Lucy Scalia. In everything we do, it's always nice to have someone who can lift our spirits, and I don't mean just in a heavenly Father way, but also in a more terrestrial, down-to-earth. He is our counter. He makes sure that everybody that transgresses across the town campus is counted, because it's important in Irondequoit that everybody be counted. And so our dear Father Bradler, among all of his other missions in town, has been one of our committed volunteers, and he's the one that kept accurate. We did tell him he could not put in for workman's comp on the, but
This is a second award today. I
yes.
got one downtown today.
Oh, how lucky.
Good day for me.
Yes, I had one of those days last week. At lunchtime, I was presented with an angel, and at dinner, I was given an angel. So that has some merit. We'll have to explore that. Our next one is also someone that provides us with a great deal of humor. She always makes sure that everything is tended to with a sense of, besides humor, some levity. And to you, dear Linda Borton, here is your appreciation. This next one, she thought that the volunteers for the Friends of the Library, the food cupboard, the farmers market volunteers, and yours truly were going to starve during that event. So our resident chef for Thursday nights, Josie Pansioni, made sure we had plenty to eat. And to her, we present this one. And as you can see, she exemplifies with her farmer's market hat. You can see that during the 4th of July parade when even the car is outfitted. So we thank you. And our next individual is also one of our crossing guards. So she is giving much service to the town. And to Mary Rose Bavard, here is your certificate. Oh, you certainly may. I've never known you not to say something. Donna's also part of the Crime Coalition and all of these other things, so she is very involved in so many things.
But tonight, I would like to present to you with something. The Irondequoit Farmers Market volunteers want to make sure that you have something to remember us by. And also, any Thursday night, if you want to come and volunteer, you are more than welcome. We love you.
Thank you. And yes,
Annette.
And I also have something to give you. Because she is so special and has been wonderful to all of us volunteers, we would like to present her with the from all of us here. God bless.
For you. Thank you. This is, look at how beautiful this is. You have touched our hearts forever and never to be forgotten. We all love you.
And in the back,
We have all signed
we
it.
have signed it.
Oh, wow.
It's our messages.
Oh, how
This
wonderful.
is for you from all of us.
Oh,
God
there's-
bless.
Oh, thank you so much. Do you want me to open this right now?
Yes.
Okay. Very heavy.
And the cards are in there.
Okay, this is it, huh?
Yeah.
Well, it seems heavier than a loaf of Italian bread.
Yeah, I know it right now.
This is beautiful, of angels. And I think it's important as we go through life. You know, we all face many challenges, and we're only here for such a short period of time. And that it's important that we always share patience, love, understanding, forgiveness, humbleness, and that we always reach out to others with a gentle hand. This is magnificent. Thank you so much. Wow.
Our angels.
Aw, thank you. Oh, my. Oh. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh,
See you on Thursday night.
see you Thursday night.
Now we need more men. Getting gray hair. All these ladies chit-chatting.
I always thought you liked being the token male.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks very much.
It has been a bit busy today, but I did have somewhere, unless I left it on my desk coming down, there were just a few reminders I wanted to stress. First, Basic Star. You must have submitted this to the website or the phone number in Albany by December 31st, 2013, in order to receive your Basic Star exemption for next year. Seniors who receive other exemptions and the low-income one, your letters have been sent out. But as I always say, do your homework as soon as it arrives. Don't wait until February 28th, because they are due by March 1st. So please complete those as soon as possible. The assessor's office is more willing and able to assist you with that, so please be sure to take care of that matter. And I think the final one I had on my list is, since it's past November 15th, we are under the winter parking ordinance, which means from 12 midnight to 8 o'clock a.m., you cannot be parked on the streets, because you never know when that snow event's going to occur, and we want those plows being able to, manage all of our interesting streets. So please keep that in mind. Both DPW and the police department have been informed of more stringent enforcement of this year to avoid any issues that have occurred in the past. So please be sure to follow the midnight to 8 o'clock parking restriction. You may not park on the streets during those times.
And Madam, you also might remind them that the lawn is not an acceptable alternative.
Oh, yes. And remember, we're not crazy about parking on the lawn. So please do not do
It's
that.
also a code enforcement issue, so unfortunately, just getting yourself off the street and onto your lawn is not going to be a viable alternative.
And we may have to clean out some garages to put the cars in there. Okay. Moving on our agenda, let us hear from Virginia Kumine, please.
Good evening. My name is Virginia Kamine. I live at 229 Angeles Drive, 14622. On Saturday, December 14th, 2013, I will go to Christ the King Church at 445 Kings Highway South, 14617, between 9 o'clock a.m. and 6 o'clock p.m. to vote yes again to approve the building of one new modern library to serve the entire town of Arundecoit. However, if I had plans to be out of town that day, I could call the Arundecoit Town Clerk's office to request an absentee ballot well in advance of Saturday, December 14th. Thank you.
I notice that Karen Holt was signed up, and I don't have that cell phone with me on her message. Her concern is, and why she feels the new library is extremely important. She is in a scooter, and she really wants to take advantage of the library. The branches currently make it very difficult for her to move around the stacks and videos and so forth. So she did send an email that she had hoped to speak tonight, but was unable, so her name has been crossed off. The next speaker, Amy Poole.
Good evening. It's actually Amy Tooley.
Okay, I see that someone's written over it, and I wasn't quite sure. I apologize.
It's not a problem. I live at 247 Wimbledon Road, and I'm here tonight to speak in support of the upcoming library vote on Saturday, December 14th. However, before I get into that, I would like to thank Mr. Rizzio and the town board for their unwavering support of the library. I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors, Mr. Rizzio, and I wish you good health.
Thank you.
Getting back to the library, over the past few days, I've been pondering over why I voted yes in April and why I'm going to vote yes again on December 14th. I'd like to share my thoughts with you in the hopes that at least some of my reasoning will resonate, and if you voted no the last time, perhaps I can convince you to vote yes this time. I am voting yes because I do not believe that learning ends when my children get out of school at 3 o'clock. I don't believe it ends when they graduate from high school or when they graduate from college. I don't believe learning ends when people retire. I believe that learning is a lifelong process that begins when we are born and continues until we die. And I believe that the institution which best supports lifelong learning in any community is a strong local library. I am voting yes because our current libraries are in an increasing state of dilapidation. The roofs are in bad shape, the parking is inadequate, and neither library has enough square footage to accommodate the needs of its patrons. The staff at our current libraries are wonderful, and the programs they offer are very good, but they could offer so much more in an up-to-date facility. The depth and breadth of programs and materials would be so much richer. I am voting yes because I believe in a unified community. True, East and West Arundecoit have separate school districts, but we don't need separate libraries. We'll be so much better off if we come together on this project. And the Town Hall campus is the perfect central location. And no, I do not think that it will ruin the look of the campus. And I say this as a tree-hugging, ecologically minded person. We are not tearing down forests, we're building on available space. I am voting yes because I believe in leaving a legacy for future generations, and I will gladly pay $29 per year to make that happen. I'm a stay-at-home mom. My husband earns a steady but modest salary. I would be ashamed if I couldn't come up with a sum that paltry to help pay for something so valuable. For pennies a day, we can have a first-rate library. Lastly, I am voting yes because I will not allow myself to be bullied or intimidated by the words and actions of a small, disgruntled, litigious minority. I will not be misled by outrageous claims and questionable data. Please join me on December 14th in voting yes for our new public library. It's the busiest time of the year, but we must carve out a few minutes for something so important. Encourage your friends and neighbors to do the same. Let's give our town a library for Christmas. And remember, when you vote, you are voting as a taxpaying citizen of Arundecoit, not Baronecoit. Thank you.
Amy, is your last name begins with a T instead of a P?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Stephanie Squicciarini.
Thank you. Stephanie Squicciarini, 3360 Culver Road. Our town again is once again facing a critical vote that will determine the future of our library. A library that, contrary to something that was handed out this evening, is not on the ballot for $16 million. It's a $13 million facility. The library board understands that there continues to be confusion and frustration surrounding the events and delays of the last several months, following the overwhelming approval of the new library proposal in April. Misleading information and misrepresentation of key facts is adding to the confusion and frustration. To address these concerns and the prevalence of misinformation, the library board has updated the library proposal website with common myths versus actual facts and answers to frequently asked questions. We have also continued our public presentations, adding to the 21 we conducted prior to the April vote. The video of the forum we held this morning will be broadcast on ICAT, available on libraryproposal.com, and soon will be on DVD at each branch. Our next and final and 22nd forum is on Wednesday, December 11th at 7 p.m. here in the Broderick Room. I encourage everyone who still has questions to attend the forum, learn more at libraryproposal.com, or email the board at iplboard@yahoo.com. You must be a registered voter in order to vote on the referendum for $13 million. All voting will take place at Christ the King School, located at 445 Kings Highway, on Saturday, December 14th. The voting hours will be 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and you will need to show ID in order to vote. There will be a special day of registration held at Christ the King School on November 30th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. for those who are not currently registered to vote. You do not need to register to vote again if you're already registered. If you cannot make it to the polls on December 14th, absentee ballots are available. You can visit arundecoit.org, call the Town Hall switchboard at 467-8840, or Barb Janier, who will gladly take your call at 336-6045. On December 15th, the Library Board will once again be ready to move forward with the will and voices of the people. Please make sure that your voice is heard on December 14th. Thank you.
Diane Stark.
Good evening, everyone. Diane Stark, 538 Shelford Road. Was it Yogi Berra who said deja vu all over again? I feel every time I get up here it's the same old thing, but I'll say ditto to what they just said and then add my 2 cents to it. This evening, I'd like to address the registered voters who stood in line back in April and voted overwhelmingly in favor of building a new central library here on the Town Hall campus. Much has happened between April and now, and we are being asked to vote once again.
Even though there's a possibility that on December 14th, voting day, the weather may not cooperate, please do not stay home. Unless you have a mind to vote no, then we don't care. Please exercise your right to say yes in this matter. Let everyone know that when you voted yes in April, that you knew what you were voting for. And now you will vote yes again to confirm the fact that you favor a new library in Arundecoit. So on December 14th, go to Christ the King School at 445 Kings Highway South between the hours of 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. to cast your vote. There will be ample parking and voting is not expected to take very long. Remember to bring a photo ID. It's required. Also, at this time, I wish to thank the members of this town board for the support you have shown for this project. So often your hard work and countless hours of time and effort go unappreciated. I, for one, appreciate your efforts, large or small, and I am certain there are many others who agree with me. Thank you.
Madam, just before you call up the next one, I think it's a good time. I can't stress enough that although there is one voting place this vote instead of the two different sites, one site, there will be twice the inspectors. So the time that it should take you to stand in line, I'm not promising there won't be any line, but it should be vastly cut down. So twice the inspectors. So don't think you're going to have to go and wait outside for 45 minutes. Everyone will have a place inside if we should have a line, but we're really not expecting lines since we have doubled the number of inspectors.
Thank you. Terry Carter.
Terry Carter, 99 Oak Ridge Drive, the library vote. What we need to understand is that on December 14th, we are really voting to decide whether or not Arundecoit will have a library in the long term. Renovating existing buildings, which do not fully meet current or future needs, is estimated at over $6 million, and maybe need to do more later. Tearing down and rebuilding about $16 million. Building a new library at $13 million or less, to me, makes economic sense. We would get a library of the future, which is really an information system. Books on shelves and electronic media as always, a communications hub, remote locations for universities, college, business incubators, a place where the students of all our excellent schools can meet and study together, a community toolbox. I spent 40 years of my life working in information technology, and this is where libraries are going in the future. I cannot accept expanding the existing libraries, currently for about $14 million. Retrofitting projects are risky and prone to cost overruns. This option should not be considered until there are detailed engineering drawings, detailed costs, and a detailed project plan, together with a financial bond guaranteeing that the town will be reimbursed for any cost increases more than 5% over the estimate. With the walls open and the roof off, there is no turning back. Before we break ground on the new library, we would have this information so the comparison is fair. If costs are excessive, we can stop or change the project. I totally agree with the comment Alban made in his letter to the Arundecoit Post, get out and vote or sit on your thumbs. However, make sure you know all the details before you vote, otherwise your thumbs are your best option. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. For me, the East Lawn is one of the most unattractive corner lots I know of. That may explain why in the 33 years I have lived in our town, I have no strong memory of seeing a lot of people there, other than at vendor stands on Memorial Day and July the 4th. If you have a garage door fetish, you can look at the Public Works building. If statistics turn you on, you can count cars and do your own traffic studies. Remember, traffic means prosperity. A new library is a much better use for the limited land we have and would attract residents and visitors of all ages by providing the tools for learning, information exchange, research, remote communication, and help to eliminate the east-west town thinking that we need to leave behind. So the decision on December 14th has two dimensions. First, we are deciding if Arundecoit will have a library in the long term. Second, current residents are deciding if our legacy to the generations to come will be the information and knowledge center of the future or a patch of grass. I will be voting for the library. Thank you for your time and attention. Good night.
Janine Connor.
Good evening, Town and Town Board. My name is Janine Connor. I reside at 160 Valley View Crescent, 14617. I'd like to publicly share my plan to vote yes, again, for our new town library. And to attempt to persuade you, I can say this. It's as simple as this for me and my husband as we vote on behalf of our family of 4. We should all help each other. We should all help each other grow. This is done by expanding our tools, resources, minds, and our connectedness. I really don't mean to be shooting anybody. I just see that a town as diverse as ours needs libraries accessible beyond our school campuses targeting our youth and beyond the failing buildings that they are currently housed in. And should the vote pass, I will most certainly grieve the losses, including the proximity of the Evans branch to our children's schools and our home. But I'm a dreamer, not a complainer, but a solution seeker. So perhaps a bike path will connect these dots someday sooner than later. Nevertheless, we have a responsibility to grow and continue a legacy of empowering the generations behind us, as well as our current uniquely diverse Arundequoit families and residents. We cannot be expected to remain in our homes, huddled over glowing electronic devices to stimulate our minds and feed our research-minded needs. A healthy, thriving community will offer a variety of state-of-the-art building and resources to cultivate a community focused on growth, connectedness, and accessibility, and meeting places to formulate and plan for our growth. Some have offered that we have school libraries, sure, but they only have limited hours and staffing and may charge for community admission. Just like the schools have gyms with limited access, and so we have a variety of athletic facilities to address the need for physical fitness and organized sports despite bike paths, sidewalks, school fields, hiking areas, and in-home fitness workouts. A healthy community will offer alternatives. A fortunate community will offer a variety of state-of-the-art buildings and will offer state-of-the-art buildings and resources dedicated to a community growth, prosperity, connectedness, and accessibility. Back to the school libraries. Considering their limited hours and staffing, my family wisely utilizes our town libraries in and out of town presently, oftentimes twice weekly, and we are prideful about just that. I might add, as I feel we are role modeling for our sons how to seek out affordable resources and the love of finding an intriguing book. I might add, who I do see using our libraries and those computers, everyone, all age groups, all socioeconomic levels represented, of course. In these times, heck, even before these tough economic times, why wouldn't you be resourceful and seek out free options? With the digital world upon us and still prone to piracy, think about the music industry. So books will be printed and libraries will go on and serve the masses. And this goes without saying, but knowledge acquisition will not only be for the privileged with Google and Wikipedia at their fingertips. An additional concern with digital systems and media is that they are prone to crashes and failures. I know change represents chaos and fear of failure, and I also would like to say that your vote, again or for the first time, will be a thoughtful and helpful action for empowering our waterside town. Thank you.
Michelle Beachy.
Michelle Beachy, 205 Colebrook Drive. It's understandable that there are people skeptical of the change and expense that a proposed new library brings about. Many of these people cynical about a new library have asked, why do we need a modern library? It's just a building full of books that we can already download and antiquated video loaning. What a waste of space and money. Libraries are on the way out. Maybe those cynics don't have children. Personally, I used a Grease library program when my youngest son was being potty trained. Nothing I could do with him at home was working, and my sister-in-law told me about a children's program that I begrudgingly went to at the Grease library. That day, after the program, he decided, no more diapers, Mommy. For those cynics who downplay the importance of our libraries for children and say we have to build for the future, just look into children's faces when they enter the library, or listen when they tell you how excited they are about what they just made at the library, or how anxious they are to find the latest Percy Jackson book on the shelf. My kids continually ask when they will be able to enjoy our new library. Those kids are the future of our community. Maybe those cynics have never been unemployed. My husband recently lost his job after the business at which he worked for 15 years closed. He has attended free classes for job seekers offered at libraries. With that decrease in income comes a decrease in the family's entertainment budget. Where else but the library can you take out games, DVDs, and books for free? Yes, we have Netflix and Hulu at home, which are not free, but not every series or movie can be found there. We also can't afford an e-reader for each of our 3 children. My kids have taken advantage of the summer reading program, junk food art class, story times, movies, and more. Maybe those cynics are not elderly. Many elderly residents are not comfortable using tablets, e-readers, and software applications. They seek out the welcoming atmosphere of libraries to assist them. With a limited income, they also take advantage of the community education programs. Again, free. Maybe those cynics are not students. I'm currently attending graduate school online and often need a quiet space where I can study and plug in my laptop. Where do I go every week to find that quiet space? Usually to the Greece or Webster libraries. Maybe those cynics own their own PCs and have reliable internet access. Maybe they also have a backup PC or tablet to use if theirs breaks down. Not everyone can afford the same. Maybe those cynics enjoy curling up in bed with their e-reader. Good for them, but many of us do still enjoy curling up with a good book. We have centuries of written works. The written word isn't going anywhere during our lifetime. The invention of the elevator didn't make the stairs obsolete, and the e-reader is not shutting down all book production anytime soon. Yes, times are changing, and smart community libraries are adapting to those changes. The Arundecoit community should welcome this change. A library is about building community connections. In his book, Better Together, Restoring the American Community, Robert Putnam, born in Rochester and current Harvard professor of public policy, says, "People may go to the library looking mainly for information, but they find each other there. I look forward to finding our community there in a new building on the Town Hall campus in the near future." Thank you.
Miriam Gantz.
Miriam Gans, 11 Covington Road. Let me first say I am not a library board member. My term ended in the summer. I am also not a mathematician, but I do know the difference between principle and interest. Mr. Reichert, in his letter to the Post, said we were voting on a $22 million library bond. We are not. We are voting on a $13 million bond, which will be paid back with X amount of interest. I don't know where he and Mr. Barone are getting this $22 million from, but I do know that Dr. Carol Mamano, who until her untimely death this September was the treasurer of the library board and a professor at John Fisher College, teaching both graduate and undergraduate courses in finance and accounting. Dr. Mamano calculated paying back the interest and principal on the $13 million bond would cost the owner of the average $100,000 home $29 a year. If you divide that by 12, you see it is about $2.42 per month. But Dr. Mamano further explained to anyone who bothered to come to the informational sessions held before the April vote that the interest on the $13 million principal could in fact be less. The town will not borrow the $13 million all at once. They will borrow it in increments on what is called bands, which have lower interest rates than bonds. This will reduce the amount that has to be bonded and will save us taxpayers some interest costs. Last April, 65% of the voters proved that they too knew the difference between principal and interest, and they said yes to the $13 million bond and yes to a new 21st century library for Arundecoit. At this time of year, many of us reread Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Spoiler alert, in the end, the Who's of Whoville band together and keep the Grinch from actually stealing Christmas after all. Let us take a lesson from the residents of Whoville and all band together to vote yes on December 14th from 9 until 6 at the Parish Center at Christ the King. If the Who's of Whoville could keep the Grinch from stealing Christmas, let's follow their example and make sure he doesn't get to steal our library either. Thank you.
Ann Bailey.
That's quite an active fall. Good evening, I'm Ann Bailey, 222 Brower Road. I wanted to address the issue of accessibility in the library. I clearly am an able-bodied human being. I have a family member who at 2 years of age was diagnosed with athetoid and spastic cerebral palsy. As soon as he was too heavy to be carried, he was put into wheeled contrivances of one sort or another. And so we lived with wheelchairs for 20 years or so. Those of us who live with wheelchairs are in a small community, and we observe other people in wheelchairs. And I've seen wheelchair-bound people, mostly women, on Ridge Road and Culver in all kinds of weather, and they are invariably carrying bags, Wegmans bags, pharmacy bags. They're on their way home from making purchases in our community. These are residents in our town. They buy goods in this town, and they are unable to use the library. If anybody thinks that a person in a wheelchair could use that library, I challenge you. I have a wheelchair at home that I will loan to you. You get in that wheelchair, go to the library, open the doors, get into the library, take out a book, use the bathroom, try to get a drink of water, and then come out and tell me that that's okay. That's the human side of this question. There is a financial side. While those buildings, especially McGraw, are inaccessible, they're not ADA compliant, there's federal money, state money, county money that we are not eligible for, and significant, real thousands of dollars for which we are ineligible. So those of you who are thinking about voting no, I'd ask you to think again and try to vote yes. Thank you.
Elaine Cole. Thank you. I want here tonight briefly just to say thank you, particularly to Paul Morosco and Deb Esley, who, although you won't be with us in an official capacity after this year, both of you have pledged your continuing support for the library, and there will be a lot of work to do after our victory on the 14th. So that means a lot to us that you will remain active and supportive. So thank you. Primarily, I want to say thank you to you, Mary Joyce, for all you have done to get our library to this point. If we look at the experience in Gates and in Pittsford, they didn't get a library either until their supervisors put their foot down and said, it's going to happen on my watch. And that's what you have done. We know, for years we've known that the overwhelming support for a new library is there, but no previous administration could harness that and get us all to the point where you have gotten us. It was your vision, your determination, and your political courage, and all the credit is yours. I know that at ribbon cutting and shovel turning, it's always the current administration that's on the dais. But I promise you, on behalf of the library board, that we are never going to let anybody forget, and this is pun intended, that library you are going to be able to point to as a concrete legacy to your leadership. Thank you. It would not have happened without you. Richard Barone.
Richard Barone, 154 Allwood Drive. I wasn't going to speak on the library tonight, but I met Dr. Carol Mamano, and having graduated from Fisher, I had a lot of respect for her. The number of $9 million came from her, based upon the payment schedule that she gave me, and she publicly stated at the Chamber of Commerce meeting that I attended. So that number came from them, or her, rather, excuse me. It's been said by someone else that the power to tax is the power to destroy, and it's a prime example in this town. Our property values have been depressed if you adjust for inflation. The rental properties have exploded in this town. I went to 500 houses, and a lot of them are now rentals. And they're being sold for less than the assessed value. So landlords come in because they can make money when something is sold at a lower level. If you look at the Saturday paper, every week we have the lowest priced housing in the county. It continues this way. This town board had an opportunity to lead the whole town, including the school districts, into thinking differently. You spent over $1 million on legal fees previously and $500,000 last year. I predict you'll spend over $500,000 this year because of the lawsuits that you created. Not the court, not the judge, you created. So you could have reduced taxes. Normally, Madam Supervisor, I'd compliment you. You had the courage to say no to spending and cutting, and you kept the budget level. But you had the opportunity to reduce the tax rate and say to the other boards, including the fire districts, which of course tax us, and say, look, we need to cut further. We need to find better ways to reduce the tax rate. Let's set the trend now. You didn't do that. So I can't compliment you. Yes, you did a job. You worked hard. I don't criticize you for that. But I really had a lot of optimism for you, your background, your character, and I voted for you twice. And I think we have a lost opportunity here. I support the library, I support improving the two branches, and none of the 7 people who were on the petition, publicly or in the petition, criticized the library. So to call them anti-library people, that's wrong, and that's unfair. It's a smear of their character. And I never said anything negative against the library per se, only against the proposal being a problem. Thank you for your attention.
I would like to just comment, Mr. Brown. Just in my financial planning and training, to have tax rates fluctuate like a roller coaster that has been the previous situation in this town is not a healthy situation. It was important to keep them level. The reasons is when we go to the bond market and when Moody's does ratings on us, they look at that the tax rate remains stable, that fund balances are increased, that there's continuity and consistency in management. Yes, it would have been wonderful to say, yes, let's lower the taxes. But I need to remind everyone that the New York State Comptroller came in and said the town of Arundecoit was in financial stress. The fund balances were below what the town board had said was acceptable to the operating expenses that are feasible in the event of contingency expenses. So I have tried very diligently to make sure that for the present and for the long term, that stability existed. I appreciate your kind words, but I do want you to know that it was always in the best interest of the present time and the future that we keep those rates stable. If you look at the historical rates of the town in the last decade, when they were so volatile, that was not in the best interest of the town. And so I did what I felt in terms of my financial leadership. I'm sorry you're disappointed in that, but I felt that it was important for the town for now and in the future.
Well, Madam, I also might add that Moody's is not disappointed in you. Don and Janine Ostavis. Did I say your last name incorrectly? Oh, you just wanted to sign in. Okay. Well, that is very good that you signed into this class today, so we know you are here. Well, you can feel free to comment, please. Yeah.
More information about the library, so that's the reason I came. But it's been very interesting to
There's always a great deal of information disseminated, and we're glad you're here.
And the last public forum is, Stephanie, remind us again the actual date?
11th.
Wednesday evening, December 11th, right here in this room at 7 p.m., the last informational meeting.
I have an interesting little love note that someone thought they were not on the docket, and they are signed up next, Linda Borden.
Just a quick little thing. My name's Linda Borden, 105 Russell Avenue. After sitting here and listening to everybody speak of the library and what it means to them, I return home December 12th from Florida. I will give Mary Joyce my phone number, my cell phone number, and anybody that feels they cannot get out and drive to the voting area, I will pick them up, wait for them to vote, and I will take them back home on my time, my gas. That's all I wanted to say. You will have my phone number tonight.
Oh, thank you.
And anyone wishing can contact you for my phone number.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Linda.
Be nice of her.
Donna Pecora. Or were you just signing in?
Signing up.
And I have Cindy and Lucy signed up too, but it may just say, "Bless you, Mary Joyce." I'm not sure if they wanted to speak.
They're gone.
Oh, they're gone. And Greg Devlin has two things.
I would agree with the sentiment of bless you, and I want to say it was also, it's always pleasurable to see Father Bradler, my last pastor, because I really no longer have a parish since they took it away. I still miss St. Thomas. But I want to talk about two things, and they relate to last month's board meeting. At the last board meeting, at the very end of the meeting, Mr. Perticone, you berated, criticized, and called one of our residents a liar. And from my perspective, I think you went over the line. I'm not here to defend that person. He's a big boy and can take care of himself. But you crossed the line. It should never, ever, should anybody ever fear being embarrassed by coming up here to speak. And if anybody owes anybody an apology, you owe the people of the town an apology for doing that. I really, they're just out of line. Sorry. The other thing that was mentioned at the last town board meeting was Mrs. Squiggerini said that the delay has cost them a $500,000 grant. And Mr. Perticone, you said that because of the delay, the cost of the library had gone up by 5%. If you add $500,000 and 5% of $13 million, that raises the cost of the library to $14,150,000. Now today we find out, or yesterday we find out that the library proposal, the library community center proposal, has been scaled back to 40,000 square feet. In perspective, that is still a building that is twice the size of this entire building here, this entire town hall. But if this building has been scaled back to 40,000 square feet from almost 60,000 square feet, why hasn't the proposed resolution or budget been scaled back by 2/3 to about 8.7 million? They're still asking for 13 million on the resolution. From my perspective, I am not very comfortable with the financial process. And what bothers me even more is that we will no longer have Mary Joyce watching the checkbook. And so to paraphrase Betty Davis, I would say, hold on to your wallets around the quoit. We're about to have a very bumpy ride. Thank you.
If only I had her eyes. Okay, I think we're finished with that part.
We're on to the financial report.
We are.
As of October 31st, 2013, total expenditures and encumbrances for the town are $22,547,000, 72.1% of budget. below the 83.3% of the year that has elapsed. Actual expenditures are $21,613,000. The encumbered expenses are $934,000. $12,917,000 is the total of expenses for the general fund. That also is below the percent of the year that has elapsed at 71.2% of budget. Of the $12.9 million general fund total, $12.4 million represents the actual year-to-date expenditures. Together, the expenses in the highway funds are $4,715,000, 84.5% of budget, slightly above the percent of the year that has elapsed. The higher than budgeted expenses result from necessary commitments for gas and fuel in Highway 1 and debt service in Highway 3. The expenditures in the library fund are $1,369,000, 73.5% of budget. Sewer has expended 63.1% of budget, a total of $2,416,000. Expenses in the stormwater drainage fund are $273,000, equating to 35.1% of budget. The general fund has received $14,695,000, 81.4% of its revenue budget. $10.3 million is tax revenue, and $250,000 is payment in lieu of taxes. At the end of October, the town had received 40% of sales tax revenue for the first 5 months of the year. The mortgage tax revenue, as shown on the report, on the October financial report, represents 3 months of activity. We expect to receive 6 months of mortgage tax revenue in December. Yesterday, we received the third quarter sales tax, $1,045,000, which will be reflected in the November report. Recreation fees and other sources of revenue are both at 79% of budget. Included in other sources of revenue is $306,000 of property maintenance and cleanup revenue. The town has already exceeded the $170,000 budget for that effort. To summarize, revenue for the entire town after 10 months is $27.7 million, 89% of budget. Approximately $16.3 million of the total tax is real estate tax. Of the total revenue is real estate tax. 98% of revenue is in for the library, equating to $1.8 million. The highway has received $5.5 million of revenue, and that accounts for 99.5% of budget. $3.8 million has been received by the sewer fund, and that equates to 100.2% of the budgeted revenue for that fund. This concludes my financial report for the month of October 2013.
Thank you. I just have one comment, Madam Supervisor. Today at the library informational meeting wasn't an open forum, so there was some besmirching remarks made as to the integrity of the library board, which I was insulted by, as they have done a stand-up job. And what I would have said, if I could have, is to compliment them on their budget. They are down with expenses by 10%. For the year. 83% of the year has elapsed. Their budget expenses are at 73.5. Again, 83% of the year has elapsed, and they have all but 100% of their revenues in. Great job, Library Board. Thank you.
Approval of minutes.
And we have quite a few, so patience, please.
October 4th, 2013, a special town board meeting.
Moved.
In a second, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Did anyone see anything needing to be revised? Nope. All right, hearing none, let us accept as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
October 8, 2013, a budget workshop meeting.
Motion, please?
Yes, ma'am, so moved.
And a
Second.
second, thank you. Any additions, corrections? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
October 9th, 2013, a workshop meeting.
Moved.
And a second. Thank you. Any additions, corrections? Hearing none, let us accept as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
October 9, 2013, a budget workshop meeting.
Second. Moved, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
And a second, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, hearing
They were
none,
all
let us
great.
vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
October 10, 2013, a budget workshop meeting.
Motion?
Yes, ma'am,
And a
motion.
second. Thank you. Any additions, corrections? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
October 15, 2013, the regular town board meeting.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Any additions or corrections?
No, ma'am.
All right, hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We're almost done.
October 28, 2000.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
Oh, we have an abstention, that's right.
yes. Thank you, Irina.
For the October 15th.
You're right.
Yes, yep, I'm sorry, I missed that. Thank you.
October 28, 2013, a special town board meeting.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Any additions or corrections?
Nope.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
And October 30th, 2013, a special town board meeting.
Motion
Motion.
and second.
Second.
Thank you. Any additions or corrections?
Nope.
Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Items for board action. 11A 2013-1, in the matter of calling for a public hearing on the matter of granting a special use permit to operate an outbuilding for 50 patrons for catered events at 1 Whipple Lane.
May I have a motion, please?
Moved.
And a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Mr. Heiniger.
Okay. Tasteful Connections is a catering operation in the town of Arundequoit, and the purpose of this is that they currently do not have a liquor license, so when they're catering an event, they have to bring in outside bartenders. They would like to do their own bartending, and in order to do that, the State Liquor Board requires that you have a space for 50 guests to sit down. They have space in their existing building at 1 Whipple Lane for this type of facility, and they would also use it for events if someone wanted to have a party, or if there were town organizations, they wanted to have a meeting, they could do that as well. But our town, where you come in, is our town code requires that any type of restaurant or facility like this with more than 30 seats requires a special use permit from the town board. So we need to have a public hearing on December 17th. This is not the public hearing we're calling for it. So, whereas on October 30th, 2013, Sandra Holloway, Tasteful Connections, submitted plans to lease 2,600 square feet of space at south end of 1 Whipple Lane to accommodate 50 guests for prearranged catered events and to secure a liquor license for the catered events. And whereas the property is zoned C, commercial, and a special use permit is required pursuant to Section 235-28A8 of the Code of the Town of Arundequoit to allow restaurants or eating establishments, drinking establishments, grills, bars, etc., with seating provided for more than 30 patrons and outdoor entertainment provided in relation to such uses. And whereas the Arundequoit Town Board hereby determines that the action authorized herein, namely the announcement and conduct of a public hearing regarding the application for a special use permit, constitutes a type 2 action for for which environmental assessment is not required under 6 NYCRR Section 617.521, and now therefore be it resolved that the town board schedules a public hearing on December 17th, 2013 at 7:35 PM. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
Thank you, Larry. Any questions, discussion? Always good to have public hearings. Okay. Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 11A, 2013-2, establishing the 2014 holiday schedule for all Town of Arundecoit employees.
Motion, please.
Moved.
Second, please. Yes, ma'am. Second. Okay. Ms. Watro, it's the holiday season.
Yes. As we do every year at this time of year, we do approve you approve the holiday schedule for the next year coming. And I'll read the resolution. Whereas each year the town board approves the holiday schedule for all employees in the town of Arundecoit, and whereas the supervisor unit, blue collar unit, and white collar unit of the town of Arundecoit have approved this holiday schedule, now therefore be it resolved that in 2014 holiday schedule for employees noted above are as follows: New Year's Day, January 1st, Martin Luther King Day, January 20th, President's Day, February 17th, Good Friday, April 18th, Memorial Day, May 26th, Independence Day, July 4th, Labor Day is September 1st, Veterans Day is November 11th, Thanksgiving Day, the 27th of November, Day after Thanksgiving is November 28th, Christmas Day is December 25th, and the day after Christmas is December 26th. There will also be one floating holiday. This resolution shall take effect as of January 1st, 2014.
It should be noted that the library board determines those days for library personnel, and the police department depends on their wheels and the schedule. So this is for those 3 units. Any questions? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 11A, 2013-3, authorizing the appointment of a police captain in the Arundecoit Police Department.
Moved.
And a second, please.
I'll read the resolution again. Whereas due to a promotion in the Arundecoit Police Department, there's a vacancy for a police captain, and whereas the chief of police would like to appoint Richard Ryan to the title of police captain, and whereas Richard Ryan is currently available for a non-competitive promotion under Civil Service Ruling Section 52-7 of the Monroe County Civil Service Laws, and now therefore be it resolved that Richard Ryan shall be appointed to police captain at the rate of $104,397.83 per year from Budget Code 001-3120-100-1100. This resolution shall take effect upon its adoption.
Thank you. Chief Tintello?
This position is currently occupied by Captain Ryan. This provides us with sanctioning from the Monroe County Civil Service Commission since he's been performing these duties and responsibilities for approximately 16 months. And now with the retirement of Chief Boyan, we're starting to backfill some of our positions associated with that. But this would give him a permanent appointment. The Civil Service Commission readily recognizes that they've not offered a promotional exam for this position in a number of years and don't anticipate one in the near future.
Any questions or discussion? Nope. Okay, hearing none. Let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And it must be he's working tonight.
That's correct, yes. He was here earlier and had to leave.
Item 11A, 2013-4, authorizing the promotion of a police officer to police sergeant.
Motion, please.
Moved.
And a second. Thank you.
And the resolution reads, whereas there is a vacancy in the Arundecoit Police Department for a sergeant due to a retirement, and whereas the Chief of Police has interviewed and selected James Reed, who is currently reachable on the Monroe County Certified List of eligible candidates for police sergeant, and who he feels is the best qualified, and whereas the Chief of Police wishes to promote James Reed to the full-time position of police sergeant per the civil service laws, and whereas this position is represented by the Nightstick Club PBA, and now therefore be it resolved that the Arundecoit Town Board hereby appoints James Reed as a police sergeant in the Arundecoit Police Department at the rate of $85,455 from budget code 001-3120-0100-1100. This resolution shall take effect on the date of appointment.
This promotion will provide us with the opportunity to adequately staff our command staff, and I certainly couldn't be more pleased with the candidate that's being presented to you tonight. Officer Reed is a 16-and-a-half-year veteran of law enforcement. He's been with the Arundecoit Police Department for 11 years. He's a town resident. He's served in a number of capacities. He's a member of the training unit. He's a police instructor. He served as a community service officer. He sets a fine example for the members of the Arundecoit Police Department, and I know that his colleagues are very pleased with the fact that his name is being presented to the board tonight for this promotion.
Thank you, Chief. Well, Sergeant, I just want to say it's always heartening up here when we heard residents for the first time hear your name as a promotion and their faces lit up. So that's to your honor.
And I know it has been so much with his community service work as I see some applause in the front row. So, for those you haven't quite figured out, that is the gentleman back there next to Broderick. Okay. Did you want to say anything, Jim? That's true.
Good point.
Sergeant-elect.
Presumptuous on my part. Any further discussion?
I just want to extend a thank you for sending in your personal letter and the informational pieces, and we had to discuss this at our workshop too, and I totally appreciate all of your endeavors and your following in wonderful footsteps of our present chief too, so thank
Yep.
you.
Yeah, and I think Officer Reed, he's been a very respected officer in this community for the many years that he's been here. Congratulations and good luck to you.
I don't think you have to worry about the vote.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
I'm very proud to serve this community. It's all I've ever wanted to do, and I've worked very hard to get to where I am, and I appreciate the vote tonight.
Excellent.
Item 11A, 2013-4, approving the establishment of traffic control devices.
So moved.
Second.
Second, thank you. Chief?
This is in regards to the enhancements and road improvements that have been made on Portland Avenue in the area of Rochester General Hospital. If anybody has traveled through that area, I know that initially it was very difficult with the construction, but now your travel is much easier. The resolution reads as follows: whereas a request from the Monroe County Department of Transportation was received by the town clerk's office proposing the establishment of traffic control devices within the town of Arundecoit pursuant to authority granted by sections 1651 and 1652-A of the New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law. And whereas the county is responsible for the installation, maintenance, and removal of said devices, and whereas the town board has considered the matter in the context of the State Environmental Quality Review Act, and determines that the establishment of traffic control devices on existing streets is a Type 2 action for State Environmental Quality Review Act purposes, as described in Section 6 New York State CRR, Section 615.5 sub C, sub 16, not subject to review under Part 617 of the state regulations. Now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Arundecoit approves, in accordance with the New York State Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices, the establishment of the following traffic control devices. Right only on the southbound lane of Portland Avenue at Rochester General Hospital. Left only for the northbound lane, Portland Avenue at Rochester General Hospital. left only for the southbound lane Portland Avenue at St. Anne's Home, left only in the northbound lane Buell Drive at Portland Avenue, left only in the southbound lane Buell Drive at Portland Avenue, and a signal light, a four-way signal light at Buell Drive and Portland Avenue. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption. If you were to travel down that roadway, you'll see basically you have 4 lanes going southbound. One is a turning lane that'll get you into St. Anne's much quicker. One is a right turning lane that gets you right into Rochester General Hospital. So if somebody was waiting to get into that hospital with some type of an emergency, but was in a northbound lane headed straight and they weren't able to make that right turn. So people will have the ability to access that site much safer and much quicker.
Okay, any questions? Any further discussion? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 11A, 2013-6, approving the abolishment of traffic control device.
Motion, please.
Motion.
Second. Thank you.
The DOT giveth and the DOT taketh away.
Correct. Whereas a request from the Monroe County Department of Transportation was received by the town clerk's office proposing the abolishment of a traffic control device within the town of Arundequoit pursuant to authority granted by Section 1651 and 1652-A of the New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law, and whereas the county is responsible for the installation, maintenance, and removal of said devices, and whereas the town board has considered the matter in the context of the State Environmental Quality Review Act, and determines that the discontinuance of traffic control devices on existing streets is a Type 2 action for State Environmental Quality Review Act purposes, as described in 6 New York CRR Section 617.5 sub C, sub 16, not subject to review under Part 617 of the state regulations. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Arundequoit approves, in accordance with the New York State Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices, the abolishment of the following traffic control device: stop for westbound traffic at Buell Drive and Portland Avenue. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
Any questions? Further discussion? Thank you. Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 11A, 2013-7, authorizing the award of one 2013 or newer model year natural gas generator.
Motion, please. Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you.
Whereas the town of Arundequoit requested bids for one 2013 or newer model year natural gas generator, and whereas the sanitary sewer department of the town of Arundequoit believes that it would be in the best interest of the town and its residents to be able to provide a permanent backup generator for the Newport sanitary sewer pump station in the event of an electrical power failure, and whereas the above referenced generator would be used for emergency purposes during a power failure to prevent sewer overflows at this large capacity pump station, and whereas the town of Arundequoit currently owns permanent generators at 4 pump stations located at Lake Bluff, Rogers Parkway, Cranbrook Drive, and Bay Village, and whereas the town of Arundequoit currently owns 3 small portable backup generators to serve the remaining 21 pump stations throughout town, and whereas sealed bids were received and publicly opened and read on October 28, 2013, and whereas the lowest responsible bidder was Penn Power Systems in the amount of $25,400, and whereas funding for this expense is available in account 031-8125-2130, and now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby awards one 2013 or newer model year natural gas generator to Penn Power Systems in the amount of $25,400. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
Okay. Any questions?
We certainly don't want sewers backing up.
Okay. Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 11A, 2013-8, authorizing the award of 2 2013 or newer model year backhoe loaders.
Moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Whereas under Resolution 2012-187,
That whole thing.
November 28, 2012, The town board authorized the Commissioner of Public Works to prepare and issue an invitation to bid for a multi-year contract for the purchase of backhoe equipment with annual buyback features. The town of Arundecoit requested bids for two 2013 model year or newer backhoe loaders. And whereas sealed bids were received and publicly opened on October 28, 2013, and whereas the lowest responsible bidder was Milton Cat in the amount of $91,627 per unit with a trade-in on one unit of $85,650 and $84,810 for the other unit, resulting in a net cost of $5,977 for one unit for the sanitary sewer department and $6,817 for the other unit in the storm sewer department. And whereas this bid includes an annual buyback agreement program, which allows the town to obtain two new backhoe loaders at a relatively low cost, thus saving on both financing and maintenance costs. And whereas the annual term of the new buyback agreement will start upon the delivery of two 2013 model year backhoe loaders, estimated to take place on or before March 1st, 2014 through March 5th, 2015. This buyback agreement allows the town of Arundecoit to trade in two 2012 Caterpillar Model 420 FIT backhoe loaders for two new 2013 Caterpillar F20 420 FIT backhoe loaders. And whereas the town board finds that it is in the best interest of the town and its taxpayers to continue a practice of buying back the backhoe loaders, which has in practice been financially more advantageous than financing the equipment over a number of years, and has tended to keep operating and mechanical costs of the backhoes at a minimum.
Patrick, I might interrupt you. I don't
Sure.
know if you want to read all of these, whereas what we would like to explain is that on these backhoe leases, we've gone through extensive legal review to make sure in terms of procurement policy, things that were done in the past, that we have made those correct adjustments. And I don't know if Councilor Luby would like to mention anything about these, and then we can save Patrick of reading a couple more pages, unless you really want to practice your reading skills.
I really don't.
Essentially, the practical issue here is a continuation of an existing policy of doing buybacks and trade-ins of equipment to keep it current, to minimize the maintenance costs and the wear and tear. Historically, it had been done by some fairly informal agreements. A year or so ago, when the board looked at it, it was decided that it was very important periodically to go out to rebid and give all possible bidders an opportunity. So a final year was approved last November, but the direction of the town board was to put the matter out to formal bid this year. That was done. There were 2 or 3 bids, I've forgotten which, Patrick, that came down.
I believe it was 2.
And the proposal is to give it to the lowest responsible bidder. This will set up a situation where for a limited number of years they can do the buyback under this, after which you have yet another opportunity to put it out to competitive bid for another chance. And it also has built in the opportunity for the town board to cancel the buyback agreement in any year of its continuation.
With a 60 days notice. Also, these two pieces of equipment, Patrick, which is one of the reasons that you do this, are used on a daily basis tremendously.
We use them about 30% of the time.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons it was important, because they get so much use.
One of my concerns have been is when people say to me, but we've always done it that way. And I said, I don't care. We need to look at more current policies and make sure that we are getting the best bang for our buck. And so we have put so many of these things through legal review to make sure that we are doing what's in the best interest of our taxpayers and providing the services to the town.
I'll read the seeker whereas.
Oh, if that thrills you, that's fine.
It does. The town board has considered the matter in the context of the State Environmental Quality Review Act and determines that the purchase buyback agreement for backhoe loaders is a Type 2 action for seeker purposes as described in 6 NYCRR subsection 617.5 C 25, not subject to review under Part 617 of the state regulations. And whereas funding for this expense is available in the 2013 budget account 031-8120-2120 and 038-8140-2120. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby awards two 2013 or newer model year backhoe loaders to Milton Cat for the net cost of $5,977 for one backhoe loader and $6,817 for another backhoe loader. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 11A, 2013-9, authorizing the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Monroe County for snow and ice services for the 2013-14 winter season.
Moved. And second,
Second.
please. Thank you.
Whereas the town of Arundecoit has previously entered into an agreement with Monroe County for snow removal and ice control services on certain Monroe County roadways, and whereas the previous term agreement was for a 10-year period which included annual renewal extensions, the 10-year term expired on September 30th, 2013, and whereas the town of Monroe County now wished to enter into a new agreement term of 5 years with yearly extensions renewable upon mutual consent, and whereas the initial annual term of the agreement is October 1st, 2013 through September 30th, 2014, with annual renewal upon mutual consent for up to 4 additional years. And whereas the town and Monroe County agree that there shall be an annual adjustment to the rates that are set forth in such agreement, including a seasonal adjustable component that considers the intensity of the winter snow and ice activities and reported costs of each town. And whereas the current year total seasonal town costs will be added and recalculated for a 7-year average minus the highest and lowest years, and be used to calculate a seasonal adjustment to the lane mile rate for the following year. The seasonal adjustment will be shown in a calculation afforded to each town and outlined in Exhibit A. And whereas the town board has considered the matter in context of the State Environmental Quality Review Act and determines that the continuation of an agreement for snow removal and ice control, being a matter of maintenance of existing facilities and a matter of routine and continuing administration and management, is a Type 2 action for seeker purposes as described in 6 NYCRR subsection 617.5, C subsections 1 and 20, not subject to review under 617 of the state regulations. And whereas Monroe County will reimburse the town of Arundecoit for snow removal and ice control services on certain Monroe County roadways at a rate of $3,629 per lane mile for 89.865 miles per Exhibit A, a total standard activities payment of $326,120.09 for the 2013-2014 winter season. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the town supervisor to execute a snow removal and ice control agreement with Monroe County on an annual basis with 4 additional annual renewal, which includes a seasonal adjustment component. Now therefore be it further resolved that the county will reimburse the town of Arundecoit for snow removal and ice control services at a rate of $3,629 per lane mile for 89.865 miles for the 2013-2014 winter season. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption. This rate is a little less than it was last year that we will be reimbursed, and it's one of the biggest components of that decrease is that we've gone from a cost of $42.48 per ton of salt to $38.38 per ton of salt for this year. That was a decrease of about 3.38%.
Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 11A, 2013-10, authorizing the adoption of the operating budget for the year 2014.
Woo-hoo, so moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Whereas the town supervisors presented a tentative budget for 2014, and whereas a series of workshops were held to discuss and review the tentative budget,
and to propose changes if necessary. Whereas the proposed changes from the workshops were incorporated into the preliminary budget, whereas it is necessary for the town board to adopt a budget for 2014, now therefore be it resolved that the preliminary budget for the year 2014 be approved as the adopted budget for the year 2014. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption and will obviously be budget used come January 1st, 2014.
That's a rock-solid budget.
There were some things that I did want to mention so that often people don't understand that when they come in to town hall or see online that the budget is this document.
Summary.
However, in addition to that document are all of these supporting accounts of line-by-line expenditures and revenues. And this is where you really pick up the true picture of what happens in the town budget. And there were some things that I wanted to comment on, only because these issues were raised to me in an interview by the Democrat and Chronicle. So I wanted to give a little bit of information, and I don't mean to embarrass all of the law firms that represent us. We have 5 or 6 of them. But for example, attorney fees are one of those expensive costs of doing business. In 2007, those fees were about $279,000. I'm rounding. In 2008, they were about $318,000. In 2009, $314,000. In our budget for this year, we will see in 2012 that they were 326, which was a tough year on the town for a variety of reasons. In 2013, 255,000. So they do fluctuate depending on what's going on in the town. Again, because there are 3 contracts that have expired, the legal fees will again be more costly.
Union contracts, negotiations,
Yes.
union contracts.
And some things that often our residents don't realize, that we live in a litigious society, and that there are always claims against the police department and DPW, personnel issues that add to the cost. So it is something that we do watch very carefully, but those costs are the sunk costs of doing business and in protecting our taxpayers. Another thing I wanted to bring to light is fluctuation in staffing as employees decide to retire or take a position somewhere else. There may be some vacancies that exist until we follow the procedure for civil service, going through what is necessary in the interviewing. With the police department, for example, that is an expensive and important asset to the town. It takes almost a year to bring a police officer on. By the time we go through the civil service lists, the background check, going through the academy, field training, it is almost a year. And it was in 2012 that we had, unfortunately, so many officers that retired, and it took us a while to bring those officers back online because there was not an academy offered that year.
And although there was a diligent search for transfers, there were not candidates that met the very high standards that our police department holds.
Some other things that are sensitive and confidential, and why it's important to build fund balances. We are self-insured for workman's comp. We do have some very expensive payouts that will be going out for workman comp. And fortunately, with our
very sound fiscal budgeting, we're going to be able to do that without an impact to the taxpayers. Workman's comp is one of those very difficult issues that we do have to deal with on a daily basis. So those are some things that we're, extremely mindful of and want to make sure that we have always saved for those. Another interesting one too, and even though Councilwoman Esley said this is a very sound budget, a change in administration will cause some adjustments that will have to be made to the budget. For example, in the supervisor's budget, if you were to look at the KVS sheets, you would see in 2011 my salary under $62,000. In 2012 it was under $62,000. And when you look at the benefits, you will see that the town did not pay retirement. Unfortunately, Social Security and Medicare have to be paid, but there also was not health insurance in there. Even though we budget for an assistant for the supervisor, I never hired one during that period of time. So I think there will be some amendments that will occur to compensate for an assistant to be hired, and then including those other benefits that will occur in the supervisor line as well as probably in the town board line. So it'll be up to the administration to make those changes so that the budget balances. So I wanted to bring those to your attention since we are adopting the 2014 budget. But it is a good budget. We are able to buy 3 police cars. We're buying some heavy equipment in DPW as well as in Parks and Rec, expanded programming in so many areas. There's a lot to look forward to next year, including the 175th anniversary of the town of Arundecoit. So there's much to look forward to as we proceed to continue to make this a town for a lifetime that is a gem of a town in
I also
Monroe
just
County.
want to add, with your diligence, with watching every line item and every purchase policy, that and correct me if I'm wrong, Annie, although I'm not, that we are on line to be under with our revenues and also with our expenses and return revenues. Even though this was a flat budget, we should still be returning revenue to this budget by the end of the year,
2013?
2013.
Sure.
So, excellent.
Okay, any questions or discussions about this budget? Okay, hearing none, let us vote to adopt. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 11A, 2013-11, authorizing execution of an agreement of cooperation with the Village of East Rochester Housing Authority and approving the issuance by the authority of its revenue bonds, Chapel Oaks, Inc. Project, Series 2013.
Motion, please. I'll move it. Second. Thank you. All right. This one, I don't anticipate reading all of it, but the resolution of the town of Arundecoit adopted the 19th day of November 2013, authoring the execution of an agreement of cooperation with the Village of East Rochester Housing Authority and approving the issuance by the authority of its revenue bonds for the Chapel Oaks Project, Series 2013. And it goes on to talk about the dormitory authority and that those bonds that were under obligation for the St. Anne's project. This is an agreement that exists in the refinancing of these projects. It has no financial implication to the town. It's just a matter of their being able to restructure and their new debt. And it's done through the Village of East Rochester Housing Authority. And it's a a matter of housekeeping for us, and I don't know if Counselor Luby would like to add to that.
I would say that at the workshop, the board members did want a little bit of clarification as to assure that, in fact, what is essentially a refinancing of the mortgage for St. Anne's was in order, and we got for them opinions from both Harder Seacrest, the attorneys for the town, and also the attorneys for St. Anne's to explain that. We put that with the package. This essentially is a way to substitute bonds that the Housing Authority had gotten a number of years ago from the Dormitory Authority with lower interest bonds that they're issuing on their own.
Any questions or discussion?
This is why we have to pay lawyers.
Well, I know. Again,
Yes, no questions.
thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 11A, 2013-12, authorizing surety, form, and amount of official undertaking for the faithful performance of the duties of the town clerk and receiver of taxes and assessments.
Move.
And I'll second it.
Oh, you're going to second for our faithful town clerk?
And for her faithful performance.
That's right. All of the above.
And this is a standard routine every end of the year resolution that needs to be prepared and adopted.
You know, we're teasing about that, but there have been other towns whose town clerk has not been as faithful. And so it's so nice to have you, Mrs. Janier. We never give it a second thought.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 11A, 2013-13, appointing a board of registration.
Moved.
And a second, please.
Second?
Thank you.
Okay. Whereas the town of Arundequoit by Resolution 2013-126, adopted October 28, 2013, called for a special town election on December 14, 2013, for the purpose of considering a proposition on the question of whether to approve a bond resolution for the construction of a library in the town. And Section 83 of the town law requires the town board appoint election inspectors and ballot clerks for the special town election on December 14th, 2013. And whereas certain residents of the town of Arundequoit have been trained and previously designated as election inspectors and ballot clerks for the purposes of general elections, and whereas the September 17th, 2013 resolution established a method of personal registration for the special town election. And whereas Section 84 of the town law requires the town board appoint a board of registration to meet on November 30th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the polling place that will be used for the special town election for the purpose of registering voters for the special town election. Now therefore be it resolved that the following resident electors of the town, none of whom are elected officers of the town, are hereby appointed as election inspectors and ballot clerks at the polling place set forth below for the special town election. So there'll be, the list is attached. And there will be two that will work on November 30th at the polling site for the personal registration day. These election inspectors shall be compensated. And we will forward a copy of this resolution to the Board of Elections once it has been adopted.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have any discussion or questions?
Bring it on.
Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
And 11A, 2013-14, approving Seabreeze 4th Annual Volunteer Fire Department Winter Parade. I did put in there that we were pending approvals. All of those have been received, and they're ready to go.
Yay, so moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you.
Whereas the town clerk's office received an application from Seabreeze Volunteer Fire Department to conduct its fourth annual winter parade on Saturday, December 14th, 2013, from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And whereas the County of Monroe Department of Transportation has approved Seabreeze Volunteer Fire Department to assemble at Topper Drive and disband at 4657 Culver Road, the Seabreeze Volunteer Fire Department. And whereas insurance has been reviewed and approved by the town insurance carrier, now therefore be it resolved that the town board approves the license to conduct the fourth annual Seabreeze Volunteer Fire Department Winter Parade on Saturday, December 14th, from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. from Topper Drive to Seabreeze Volunteer Fire Department.
Okay, any questions or discussion? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. That brings us to the end of our agenda. Our next workshop meeting is December 11th at 4 o'clock, and then in the evening will be another library informational meeting here in the Broderick Room at 7 o'clock. The next regular town board meeting is December 17th. Next week is Thanksgiving, and we wish you all a blessed and joyful Thanksgiving, that may your hearts and your families be full of blessings. And also a reminder, December 7th is Pearl Harbor Day. They have a wonderful ceremony at the Rochester Yacht Club to memorialize that horrific day. So if you have a chance to be down there at about 7:40 on December 7th, you will not be disappointed, and particularly to see those guys that are still alive from that day. So having no other oh, yes, Mr. Prodan.
I just want to make one comment today, and it really wasn't talked about a lot. They had the library board had the first forum today. I thought it was very well attended. A lot of things hadn't changed since the last time, but it was very, it was well attended. The information got out there. There's a lot of good questions out there. One thing that was out there, I want people to watch it if you get a chance, because there's a bunch of propaganda that was being passed out at that meeting, that the President, Stephanie, she addressed all the things that were on there. For someone that didn't know what was on there coming into it, she did a very great job. There was an insulting accusation towards the library board, and if you want to talk about apologies, I think someone owes the library board an apology. And when it comes to me, Mr. Devlin, if I see somebody out there trying to mislead this community for their own benefit, I'm going to call them out on it. If I feel they're not saying the truth, I'm going to do it every time. That's all I have to say.
Okay, may I have a motion for adjournment?
Yes, ma'am, so moved.
Second, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned.
We hope you enjoyed this presentation of the Irondequoit Town Board on ICAT 12, Irondequoit's government access channel.